Congratulations, you have been reincarnated as DNA. You get 1,000 tries to survive. We're going to throw you in the ocean and see how well you do. Lots of stuff moving around, you seem perfectly fine, and I'm sorry. You were eaten. Too bad. Maybe we should have tried to protect ourselves. I mean, free DNA is easily broken down. In today's day and age, everything wants to eat everything. So we have to find a way to protect ourselves. So what to do? Well, the easiest option was simply to put a barrier. We'll start simple and make it lightweight. The lightweight example is a cell membrane. It is a barrier that will separate the insides from the outsides. It's made out of phospholipids. These individual phospholipids make up an entire membrane. The phosphoside is a charged compound. The lipid side is a fatty one. Think of those type of fatty compounds. This phosphoside is hydrophilic. The fat is hydrophobic. That means this compound with the two sides are actively opposing each other. As such, they form these double membranes, free of energy charge. We don't have to worry at all about putting in any energy to build this. Just the basic physics builds these for us. And because of the fact that they're not connected, there's no bonds there to connect them, that means that this can twist and bend into any shape, making it ideal for what we need. So there we go. For our second attempt, we now have a cell with a barrier. Let's survive. This time, these things cannot get us. Our DNA is protected. But we didn't think about the other creatures out there that are trying to get us as well. See, it's not just us DNA in a membrane. There are bigger creatures with DNA in membranes also coming to get us. Since we did the bare minimum, which was protection, we might want to think about doing other things. So, DNA, membrane, what next? We need to think about energy refreshment. We need to think about repairing the damage to the membrane and to our DNA, if that happens. And we need to think about ways to adapt to the environment. As if we don't adapt, we might get in trouble. So, lots to consider. First, we should probably think about adding escape abilities. There are many different options that are currently available. Let's focus on 3 right now. The first one is cilia. The second is pili, and the last is flagella. All of these have pros and cons. So cilia is a bunch of little tiny hairs that completely surround the cell membrane. They're high in mobility, but they require a lot of energy to be used. This is because each individual cilia needs to be powered. However, it gives you tons of movement. You can easily twist and bend and get out of the way. For the flagella, it is a much less energy consumption, given that in fact you're only powering one motor. It is also rotary, very similar to cilia, and this allows you to travel long distance. However, you lose the high maneuverability that you would get with cilia. Lastly are the pili. This is a high energy, relatively low movement option, which might be thinking, well, why would we use this? Well, that's because the way this works is it grabs and pulls. A cell will send out a pili, it will grab onto something, and then it will drag the cell body to its destination. This means that if you pair this with other options, like consuming objects whole, pili would be a great option. Another thing is that they're multi-use, as in they have multiple functions that really can benefit the cell. So which to focus on? Well, one thing we should probably think about is how to power it. So there are 3 different options for powering. We can generate it ourselves, we can trade for it, or we can steal it. For generating by oneself, there's options like photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. Both of them take the environment and convert it into something that we can use. For instance, converting sun energy or converting inorganic compounds into something that is viable. For trading, this is kind of along the lines of symbiosis. You can see this in plants, particularly bacteria and plants which will trade nitrogen. Lastly, they're stealing it, like parasites. This is probably the easiest method, where you allow another creature to generate the energy and then you just take it. However, you have certain risks with that as well. So, energy production and movement, we have figured out. Well, if you notice, the pieces kind of feel tied together, don't they? If we're going to do photosynthesis, we might not want to have flagella to move around, because we want to stay optimally where the sun is. However, if we're going to steal it, then maybe we would want something like a pily. And the reason being is that it's the environment. So when we were reincarnated, we actually didn't consider the environment we're in. We just hopped straight into, we're DNA, let's survive. To give kind of a good small example of what we're talking about, this right here is the ocean. You can see there's a white line defining the surface, and we have a little sun. Now the sun can only penetrate about 1,000 meters. As such, if you're an organism living in the upper parts of the ocean, photosynthesis would be a fantastic option. Pair that with something that allows you to maximize surface area, and you're going to be gaining a lot of energy. If you're down here at the very bottom, where no sunlight enters, you're not doing photosynthesis. So you're going to have to focus on chemosynthesis. One thing to consider is that up here where there's photosynthesis going on is going to be quite dense in life, while it's not going to be very dense down quite deep. However, you will be focusing more on energy production because it's quite taxing to live down here. So the environment is very important. And we have to consider a lot of these options in order to survive as a DNA. So let's start building our organism and see if we can survive. Here are the parts that we focused on. We have defense, which is a membrane. Replication, which is our DNA. Locomotion, which we've talked about flagella, cilia, and pili. And energy production, photosynthesis, and chemosynthesis. Currently, the strategies we've been focusing on is by self, as in we're a lonely strand of DNA. There are two types that we could focus on, unorganized and organized, but for now, we're going to focus on low energy requirements, make sure this isn't very complex, which means we're going to keep things unorganized for now. Hence why we're going to be a prokaryote. Let's give this a shot next time.